welcome back. You're still watching Prime Morning. It's still Newsflash here on Joy Prime. My name is Razak Musbao. And let me say a very big thank you to my very good friend here, Royal King Cracker. Royal King Cracker, my goodness, looks so sumptuous, looks so good. One of my colleagues here, Nathaniel, he's just had some really good bite of this. He's looking energized this morning. That's why we're recommending it to you. Make sure you have some of this in your bag, in your drawer. Make sure it's beside you. I'm telling you, this is exactly what you need. Royal King Cracker. Royal King Cracker. There are some biscuits that when you start chewing them, you don't hear any sound. But the others, when you start chewing them, you hear all kinds of music in your ears. That's what Royal King Cracker does for you. You're chewing and you hear crush, my goodness. That's what we call crispy. Crispy. So make sure you get some for yourself. I want to say a very big thank you also to Franco Trading Enterprise, Phone Papa Parfait, Phone Papa Parfait. Of course, that's where you can find all kind of devices, all kind of mobile phones. You can find it at Franco Trading Enterprise, all right? Franco Trading Enterprise. So I want to say a very big thank you to them for their support. Now, today is going to be last day of our month-long series on breast cancer. We're going to spend some time to talk about breast cancer with the Breast Cancer Society later on the show. Hope you've been well educated on all matters relating to breast cancer in this month, which we dedicated to do. And we hope you've gotten yourself screened, and we hope you are taking good care of yourself also. Now, let's get into the newspaper very shortly. And you heard from Kweku Asante. We'll get into that cybersecurity bill later in our discussion. We'll get into it extensively and try and appreciate what it entails, why it is becoming topical. It's simmering, and I'm sure it's sadly going to get national attention, especially when it finally arrives in Parliament. But let's get to the newspapers now. Let me start with the New Republic. The New Republic. It says $2 million SkyTrain saga. Produce lawyer, judge gives Ameyaw a comfy 2 days to produce a lawyer. Interesting. Now, mother tongue policy start from KG to basic 3. Education Ministry clarifies. Education Ministry clarifies. And you've got $2 million overpaid, 39 million Ghana cedis underpaid. Government slaps a Japan with final demand over equipment deal. Scandal, and District Assembly Common Fund looted and wasted. 94 assemblies caught in web of ghost projects, missing tracks and stolen cash. Interesting, interesting. That's on the front page of the New Republic. Now, let's go to the Overseer newspaper. There, they've got condolence visits for Nana Konadu allowed only on weekdays. That's according to the Rawlings family. So you can go to the family and condole with them from Monday to Friday. Saturday, Sunday is exempt. That's what they are saying. Then Sir Sam Jonah questions source of funding behind Accra's luxury real estate boom. These days, everywhere you go, they're high-rise and building. People are doing real estate business, and he's the venerable Sam Jonah is saying we need to start asking questions about where people are getting money to engage in these real estate businesses that they are into, all right? Because there's been concern that it's become a space where people are, in quote, washing their money. Interesting. Now, Ato forcing to present 2024 budget on November 13, unveil post IMF physical blueprint. So come 13th of November, we'll see that happen. And ADB strong turnaround continues, and the Mineral Investment Fund partners internal audit agencies to strengthen audit response skills. Agric Minister Eric Opoko engages international media during World Food Prize event in the USA. That is also on the front page of the Overseer newspaper. Now, let me go to the Insight newspaper now. And on the front page of it, you've got Ghana's healthcare and emergencies. Ghana's healthcare and emergencies is an extensive one there, a reflection on the demise of Atamils, Konadu, and others. Really interesting, isn't it? Really interesting. Really interesting. Wow. It has a picture of the former Vice President, Emisa Pakwese Misayata. Of course, we know to some extent the circumstances under which he lost his life. Was an emergency, rushed to the hospital, and unfortunately could not make it. We have the former president, John Sata Mills, under similar circumstances, emergency, rushed to the hospital, he could not make it. I understand that in the case of Nana Ajuman Rawlings, it was in a similar circumstance, rushed to the Rich Hospital. Doctors did everything according to the family, but could not keep her alive. So there's a very, comprehensive article on that. So let's see. Then, towards boosting literacy and numeracy in basic schools, Education Ministry, UNICEF unveiled 2025 Foundational Learning Tracker. U.S. deploys aircraft carrier and threatens invasion of Venezuela while expanding drug war to Colombia. And the go to court, Kwan CEO fight 7 communities over accusations of land seizure is there. So that's on the front page of the Insight newspaper. Now, on my last but one newspaper here, the Economy Times has got government juggles demands of local stakeholders, IMF, towards 2026 budget. We know that the ministry has been engaging in its engagement, all around the country. They've been in and all around the country engaging people on the budget. And you've got Ghana's improving microeconomic stability convinced Fitch to revise growth forecast to 4.9%. And CD set for historical rebound as it appreciates 36% year to date. Interesting. And we understand the city is likely to record an annual appreciation against the dollar for the first time since its redenomination. And that was an interesting research that the Joy News research desk put out. Now, finally, you've got the Ghanaian Times newspaper. It has President Mahama, Akufo-Addo, others lead tribute to Nana Ajuman Rawlings. And then you've got medical experts warn expectant mothers against misuse of steroids. And we won't tolerate indiscipline. Education Minister, this story will never go away. KGA Group Chairman receives, he's got his award there. Then court warns Professor Ameyaw Ekumfi of a delay in the Sky Train trial there. And you've got 34 arrested over clashes at Ojura Festival. It's also here. And interesting one here, an inspector jailed for life over murder of Ma Ajua. It's an interesting story in 2023 when it came up somewhere, in Kumasi, where a police officer was accused of murdering the girlfriend. Well, from 2023 to 2025, it's gone through the court, and after 2 years, finally justice has been served, and the inspector, the police officer, has been found guilty of murder, and he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. All right, now let's stay on the education minister and in the education ministry, because he disclosed that the basic schools are now going to the medium of instruction in our basic schools is going to be the local language. The Deputy Education Minister, Mr. Honorable Clement Park, also came out to clarify that, well, specifically is going to be from KG to primary 3. And that has generated some debate because it's within the space of cut your hair, don't cut your hair, and this one also came up. If you look at how people have received it, the reception to this, there are quite a number of people who said, well, it's great. Because these days we are losing our mother tongue and people are raising concerns about it. But then there are some parents who are saying, well, I want my ward to go to school to learn English and other subjects. They will learn how to speak the local dialect at home. Interesting. But then you listen to the education minister's rationale behind that is, at the very early stage, because these days, most homes, everybody's speaking English with their ward. So we want to inculcate the local dialect in them and also help them to start easily as far as their learning process is concerned. I mean, you go to China, they don't teach in English. You go to Japan, they don't teach in English. So maybe we're gradually going to get there. But there's been other concerns also raised in a cosmopolitan city like Accra, all right? Which dialects will the teacher use? You have some kids who understand Twi others who understand Ga, others who understand Hausa. So in that environment, which one should the teacher opt for? Well, he said the most popular language. Well, his parents will have a problem. He said, don't teach my child in Chi if it's a Ga. Speak Ga to them. But the Hausa kid will not understand. So not too sure how this policy is being fine-tuned so that it could be implemented without so much difficulty. Now, in studio with me at the moment is Mr. Kofi Ameyaw, is former Director of External Affairs, NPP, and of course, part of the Kennedy Japan campaign team, and also Dr. Dramani Bukari, Deputy CEO of NPA, is also in studio with me. Gentlemen, good morning. Really good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. You're looking really, really good this morning. Thank you. Yeah, we thank God for your life.
He works with NPA.
Yes, he does.
He works with NPA.
Is that just a government agency?
No, he works with NPA. I mean, when you talk of the petroleum industry, I mean, the upstream has a lot of money, but the downstream, they really regulate the petroleum products. And trust me, they are good.
They are good, eh?
Oh, yeah. One day, we try and work there. Yeah.
Doc, at this
Well, I don't know why it is my good. But yes, it's an opportunity to serve, and we embrace it wholeheartedly. We will do our best, and we are doing our best to ensure that we ensure energy security, which is the most important thing. We ensure stability in the petroleum prices to the extent possible by the initiatives that we will implement. And then we will generally contribute to the reset agenda that has been prosecuted by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Yeah, well, interesting. Let's see how all of that unfolds. Let's see how all of that unfolds and get into it. But let's get into our discussion here. And I just want to bring this one out here from the newspaper, having to do with a clarification that the Deputy Education Minister offered, because when the Minister of Education, Aaron Idrisu, make the point, people were, okay, so JSS, we're going to teach science and tree, but the Deputy Education Minister clarified. And let me just read excerpts of it. It says, speaking at the launch of the Foundational Learning Action Tracker on Monday, Deputy Education Minister Clement Abak said the clarification was necessary to settle the ongoing discussion. He says the ministry has clarified that the use of Ghanaian languages as the medium of teaching applies only from kindergarten to primary 3, not throughout all basic school levels. From kindergarten to primary 3 and not throughout all basic levels. So that is a clarification that has been offered here. Now, this is a very important conversation because, I mean, it's the development of our young people, and this is how we grow the country. This is how we get better. When we touch on some of these issues, we get better. And maybe let me start with Mr. Ameyaw. You have traveled. You have traveled all around the world. You have been in different places around the world. When you first heard this, what was your initial reaction to it?
Well, let me say a very good morning to your good self and to Deputy Chief, and then your cherished viewers as well. So it's not really about my experience having traveled outside. I have a personal experience, and it's not a good one. As far as this policy is concerned, I did not benefit from this policy at all. I say so because I went to a public school as a child, and in my early childhood. And I also lived in a cosmopolitan, neighborhood. In fact, I lived in the Asawase constituency, Akwetialai to be specific. And to be more detailed, I lived in a Dagomba house. The compound house was owned by a Dagomba. So more or less like a Zongo, Akotialai Zongo. A lot of people who live in that constituency or that area know the Akotialai Zongo. And just across our house is a cluster of schools. But I went to one of the public schools in Roman Hill, and we were taught in Tree. It's one of the most difficult times growing up, because at the time, I couldn't understand and even speak English. In fact, English was so foreign to me, even at the age of around 9 or 8. And I recall one day, this is a very sad moment for me. I recall one day, my mom left myself and my sister with my grandma in Kumasi So one time my mom came from Accra to Kumasi. And if you may recall, I don't know how old you were, there was this program called Chichikule, sponsored by Blue Man Margarine. It was a kids program.
Okay.
And then my mom came and I think one of the kids said something. And my mom asked me, what
does it mean?
I couldn't tell my mom. And she started crying.
Wow.
So she came back to Accra. And then she told my grandma, look, bring my son. And immediately I came to Accra. And then it took me a while for me to align myself to the system. In fact, I would sit in class, I wouldn't speak because I didn't understand the English. Even stand-up was a problem. So for me, when you talk of using the local language to teach at the basic level, according to research and according to a school of thought, it helps the kids to be able to identify with our culture, our heritage. It helps also in learning because practically they can identify some of the things they listen to or they hear their parents speak or teach them at home. I did not benefit from that. So it's a policy that I would not advocate for because even then, I mean, English eventually became the language we spoke growing up. And when I came to Accra, I was somehow forced to learn Ga, okay, because we were taught Ga in school. So after all the struggles, I would have to come back again and learn Ga. Now let's even look at a practical situation in my case. So in the Akwetiala Zongo, community, right across us is a cluster of schools, and you're saying that you should use the local language within that vicinity or within that area, and practically it's Ubichi. So let's say a Dagomba who has come from Tamale and living in that house has brought the son who probably they were speaking Dagomba or Wale or any other language in the north, and then they come down to the south. And you tell that child that they should go to school and they should use Chi to teach them. That will become a bit difficult. So I believe that once we have a standardized language, why don't we use it? I understand when you go to the Philippines, they are using about 19 languages to teach them. When you go to Finland or so, they have about 2 or 3 languages that they use to teach them, and But do we have the system? Do we have the structure? Do we have the logistics to be able to meet this particular policy? That is where, for me, I believe the challenge is.
But just to follow up on the Dagomba example you gave. So you have, a child that is purely Dagomba, comes into a setting which predominantly Chi setting, Akan setting, and Chi is going to be the medium. Don't you see it's an opportunity for the Dagomba to also learn another language and add to the Dagomba that is already picking in the house?
So we are talking about from basic, KG, or from primary 3, from 1 to 3.
KG to primary 3.
Okay, that is not so long a time. So why do we have to, subject the child to go through this when eventually they would have to speak English anyways? Do you get my point? So for me, if you haven't lived it, you wouldn't experience it, because now a lot of the schools, whether public or otherwise, are really speaking English. In our time, if you attend a public school, for you call it Saito, then you say Arish Kontomre. And we were so serious. When you see a white man, the only thing you can say is Arish Kontomre at that time. So times have changed. I would not really relegate the policy to the background and advocate against it strongly. I would say we should appreciate the times in which we find ourselves, and then adjust accordingly, because, we are in a world where, in terms of communication, English is the most premium language that is being used.
All right, I'm going to come back to you and get your thoughts on the reality that, from KG to primary is the duration within which they're going to be taught in the local dialect. From primary 4 all the way to university, they have the opportunity to learn English. So you're not necessarily taking away from them the opportunity to learn English. They have even a longer time to learn the English. You're only exposing them to your local dialect within a short period. So the concern that maybe they might not have the opportunity to learn English and be versed in it, there is even a longer period for them to do that. I'll get your thoughts on that.
Yeah,
but let me come to you, Doc. What's your first take on this?
Well, so it's important to recognize that the debate around the use of local languages in our schools has been with us for centuries. And indeed, this has been part of our educational DNA, even from pre-colonial times. Remember that when the Basel and the Wesleyan missionaries came in, they started teaching in the local languages because they thought that that was the way to get the people to understand their message very quickly. Fast forward, during colonization, the 1925 educational ordinance under the British colonial rule equally advocated for the use of local languages in our schools. And the reason that was put forward at the time was the fact that people understand every subject matter better when it is taught in their own language. Even at independence, Nkrumah's Educational Act adopted the same policy. The only time in our educational history where this policy was reversed was in 2002 under John Ajekun Kufuor's time. But even then, they swung back very quickly in 2007 and readopted on the basis of what history, and even strengthened it. Because then they profiled a number of languages, about 11 languages or so, and indicated that those should become the local languages, the basis for which, educational knowledge should be impacted into children. And so it has a long-standing history, and there's justification for it. One of them is the fact that, research. It's research from UNESCO, which is readily available, research from World Bank, which is readily available, even research by our own institutional agencies like NAT, Ghana Education Service, have pointed to one thing, that people or peoples better understand the content in their own languages at the early stages, and it improved early reading outcomes. Question you ask yourself is, why, in spite of this evidence, why are particularly a section of the Ghanaian public not very much embracing this policy? I think there's usually, if you want, a certain agitation and a certain interest in parents to want to see their children speaking the English language very quickly in life, very quickly. And that ostensibly tend to suggest that children who are fluent in the English language at the early stages are brilliant or are smart. But remember that research has also shown that at the very early stages of our lives, we are more, we are very receptive to different languages, very receptive to learning different languages. Look, we cannot pretend there may be problems with the implementation of the policy. One of the reasons may be that, for instance, across the length and breadth of this country, do we really have enough teachers who understand the local languages and can implement this policy effectively? So if that is a challenge, it is one we need to address. The other challenge you may raise may have to do with, okay, do we have teaching and learning materials in the local languages to facilitate this process? Because
just to follow up on this, the understanding we are getting from this is essentially, and I stand to be corrected, maths at KG level, primary 1, primary 2, primary 3, will be taught in the local dialect.
Absolutely, that's it.
And you make a very profound point. Do we have materials?
Exactly, to support.
Exactly,
to support that.
So, and I'm also wondering, English language is also taught in primary 1, primary 2.
Absolutely.
Would that also be taught in Chi? Yeah. So I think those little details will obviously need to be. So for me, we can debate the substance of its implementation. Yes.
As a policy, there's significant justification for which we ought to adopt that. And we are all, time and again, referring to China. We are all time and again referring to other Asian tigers. We are time and again referring to other jurisdictions where local languages have been adapted, and how very quickly they appear to be developing, and how very quickly their youth are catching up with what is needed for the development of the country. So for me, it is a must for us as a nation. But we need to assess it very effectively, look at the weaknesses embedded in that policy and resolve them in a very profound manner. For me, if we are able to do that, we should let this debate around whether or not adopting local languages in our early grade education lie, because for me it's a policy that has proven to be a really good one.
I'm going to come back to you, because the reasoning here, and I think Ameyaw makes the point that, look, if you only go into institutions from KG to primary 3, and right after primary 3 you're going to have the ward now essentially starting to learn English.
That's correct.
KG to primary 3. If the reasoning, the rationale behind it is to help the ward learn and to learn well, which research has proven, why don't you just implement it throughout the entire education process? And you're just limited to KG to primary 3. And after primary 3, the ward now have to, adapt to English from primary 4, primary 5. I'll come to you to respond. Let me just take the thought of Mr. Sapon, who has now joined us. He is a Deputy General Secretary of United Party. The days of movement for change are over now, and it is all United Party. Good morning, and good to have you.
Good morning, brother.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Well, good to see you too. Let's just get your first thoughts, take on this one.
Yes, good morning to my brothers.
Good morning.
When I was coming, I was monitoring the conversation, and I don't know, maybe I don't know if I didn't understand what the minister did say, but I understood him from a different angle. And I have been an advocate of the use of local languages to give better understanding to what we teach our children in school.
That's correct.
Now, let us understand that the mother tongue of every human being is the first you hear when you are put to birth. And let us also understand that whatever it is, the mind does process that language before it comes out into the English language. It's fundamental.
Yeah.
That is why somebody would be speaking or say, the person tries to interpret, understand, and make a meaning in the local language, the language which is first language that he understands best before he speaks it out. And so you would have to understand that these children, to me, are not being treated fairly. I speak Dagbani very well. I am not a Dagomba. My father was the Sumya Nifahine. And my mom comes from Achiramade. Typical Ashanti boy. When I call my cousins and my brothers right now, we don't speak Twi, we don't speak English. We speak Dagbani. It's like a mother tongue to us. You understand? And so I was in Tamale as an Ashanti boy, and I learned the language, and I speak and write and read better than even Dagombas. When sometimes I am speaking and I'm not able to get it right, I speak it in Dagbani in my head, then try to look at the synonyms quickly, then I bring it out. And so you would find a British who can speak fluently the English language.
Yeah.
I will find it difficult to write.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, there. The Americans, to me, do not have a language. Which one is their language? English? Some of them can't even speak it well.
Yeah.
we are fortunate. The foundation is there. Why do I say we have the foundation? If you go to every basic school, we teach a local language.
Yeah, that's true.
Go to Ashanti region, they teach Ashanti Twi. Go to Eastern region, they teach Equiapim Twi. If you come to Ga, they teach Ga. I learned to read and write the Bani in Tamale. What I understood the minister saying is that if the local language becomes an instrument, then it helps the child to have a better comprehension, if my English is right, of whatever is being taught.
Absolutely.
I am a Christian. I don't know if you go to church. Sometimes when the preacher is preaching, then when he begins to speak Twi, you see people set up and enjoy the service. When we go for worship and they are singing these urban worship songs.
You are like me, eh?
They do.
You take me to church and you sing in English, me, I won't go there.
They do. We do this and then we be watching the singers sing. Let them change the worship songs to Twi, where you can relate. Then you see and you will find everybody participating in whatever that is happening.
But then you're talking about the training of young people to compete.
If I land, you would understand me better.
Okay, please land for me.
We are not competing in speaking English. What we are doing is that we are giving the children the opportunity to better understand what they are going to use to compete. If you take a child between the age 0 to 12, that child has the opportunity to learn and speak between 2, 3, 4 languages. If you go to the Zongo communities, the reason why the Zongo communities, the children speak a lot of languages is because of their exposure. They are exposed to many languages. They are exposed to Hausa, they are exposed to Mosi, they are exposed to Frafra, they are exposed to Twi, a lot of languages. And they understand these languages and why do we go to Makola Market and the women there understand sales better than you, what I? Tell me I'm lying. They count money with their hands. The bankers, what do? You count with counting machine. And no still are fake in the farmer. Because, see, they are able to easily relate. No one, I didn't hear the minister say that the use of English language should be abolished.
No.
He said that we should use the local language to give a better interpretation and understanding to the child so that the child can relate. You are saying 1 + 1 is 2. The child does not, and he's finding it difficult. Some of us had issues when we were growing up. The child has issues in understanding 1 + 1. Then when you have come and you have said, Ofa Baku, now they come back on one, Emma was saying, they would all respond, Emma, you get it? They are able to relate. I always say that those parents who speak English with their children at home, in church, in everywhere they go, they speak English, they are doing a disservice to those children.
Now, I want to, because I've just been prompted that we have the Executive Director for Institute for Education Studies. They've also been following this closely, and they also have been, offering some commentary on it. We want to get their thoughts. And the impression and that's the question I wanted to ask Doc, and I was hoping I'll get some clarification whether it's the case, because I'm just reading the exact quotes of the Deputy Minister where he says that he says if I quote him verbatim, he said, the Honorable Minister for Education has asked me to clarify that the policy directive he announced on Friday regarding the compulsory use of mother tongue as a medium of instruction in our public basic schools is confined to KG up to primary 3.
That's correct.
So I'm just trying to, is it a mix of English and Chi? Because that's already happening, but it seems to suggest is a compulsory use, is limited to Chi. And hopefully I can get some further clarification. But let me get...
He didn't say Chi.
Yeah, it's a local language. Yeah, I'm the one just...
Okay.
Yeah,
so that you don't...
Yeah, of course, you can't go and teach in the north. It doesn't happen. Yeah, absolutely understand that. Let me bring in Dr. Peter Antipati, who is on Zoom now. Doc, thank you very much for joining us. Your outfit, I'm sure you've done some studies on this very subject. You probably have done some engagement in the past on this subject. Tell us what you make of this directive.
Thank you very much, and good morning to your panel members and your viewers.
Yeah.
First of all, I have to state that there is no debate about the fact that when a child is taught in a language that he or she understands best, it enables him to appreciate the content and is able to perform well. That is empirically established. So I get worried when the conversation tilts towards that particular direction. What the problem is that in this country, we have since 2004 tried to implement a language policy which mimics this particular research findings that is well established in education literature. And we have not been successful because of various challenges that has engulfed our educational system and our society as a whole. The dynamics of our society, the urbanization that we experience, and so on and so forth. So if you pick two important documents, the Education Strategic Plan, and you pick the pre-tertiary education curriculum framework, which guides educational processes in the country. One was in 2018, one was in 2019. You would see that all these things have clearly been espoused in it. The reason why we've not been able to do this 100%, as the minister is suggesting, is because of the numerous challenges that we face as a society. And therefore, if you go to our schools, it is mandatory that teachers teaching at KG to basic 3 are supposed to teach them in a language that they understand. But in most instances, as Professor Anamoah-Mensah and others suggested, you will see, because of the challenges of teacher preparation, the dynamics of the languages that we use and the multiplicity of languages that we have, you will see the teacher use somehow 70% of the local language and sometimes 30% of the English language to be able to communicate with the students. And that is what has been the practice over the years. Around 2014, 15, 16, thereabout, the current vice president, who was the Minister of Education, tried to enforce 100% use of the local language. I think there were studies that were done, and then there were support systems by USAID and other things. But we were not able to scale it up because you know these donor projects, when the money finishes, sometimes you are not able to continue with that. Then in 2019, 2020, 2021, thereabout, this issue also came up about the enforcement of 100% usage of the local language as a medium of instruction at the lower primary level. This was also not fruitful because of the same challenges that we have enumerated since 2004, 2005. So what the problem is now, what becomes problematic is that the minister, after 10 months in office, is trying to reinforce this particular position which has been there. And let me say that this is not a new policy direction. It's something that's been there. The minister is communicating that we should, or is directing GES to mandatorily implement this policy without telling us what they have done within these 10 years to deal with the teething challenges that have engulfed this particular policy over the years. And I think that is I think that is the problem that we are facing now.
But from your end, you can land, then I ask, because I want to ask from your end, what you think could be the best way to resolve some of these challenges. Because if the research supports the use of this very medium of instruction, it means it's good for us as a country. So with all of these challenges engulfing it, from your end, how can we resolve it? What do you think the minister needs to do to resolve some of these challenges?
So what we were expecting the minister to have done was that he should have told us that this is the position of, the policy direction that we have. These are the challenges that have faced the implementation of this policy, and therefore we've not been able to do 100%. In the next 2, 3, 4 years, these are the things that we are going to put in place to ensure a smooth implementation of the language of instruction policy to attain 100% level. Nothing has been done. What we are practicing is what is already in place for all these years. And he is directing that without changing anything, without introducing anything, that we achieve 100% implementation plan. That is going to be difficult. That will make his directive not feasible, and that is why we are having this communication or debate. Now, what I think I think you asked me about what needs to be done, right?
Yes, because you mentioned there are challenges associated with it, and he hasn't proffered any solution to those challenges, which have made it difficult in the past to implement this 100%, as you're suggesting. So, what do you think he can do?
So as I said earlier on, the research is clear that the child, in a language that the child understands, the child is able to pick it.
Yes.
Because of our challenges, we decide to go halfway. What most of the researchers will tell you, the mixed approach or the concurrent method, whereby you teach in the local language and then you top it up with the English language, which also makes it easier for transition, because right after class 3, the child is supposed to be taught in English in class 4. So for us, we think the current approach is feasible. The current approach is the way to go. It is going to be very difficult as a country to achieve 100% local language policy because of the dynamics of our society in terms of which language is dominant within a particular community. Let me give you a typical example. You go to Kumasi, you say that Kumasi is a typical Akanchi area, but in Asawase, you will not get people speaking Chi. They will be speaking their local languages, the other languages that the parents will be speaking to them. You said that a child's L1 is what the child is spoken to or brought up with in the house. In our houses, because of urbanization and other things, most children are exposed to English as early as they are growing up. So that L1 now becomes the child's first language. So there's so many dynamics within our society that it makes it difficult for us to do the 100% the minister is asking. Again, do we have the teachers? Do we have the teachers to implement this? I've been doing teaching practice in the University of Cape Coast. We always go for teaching practice, supervise our teachers who are teaching. We do that for teachers on the field, in service and pre-service. I went to one school sometime and I realized that the madam in the class, which was in class 3, could not speak the local language of the people in Ahanta because the woman was coming from somewhere in the northern region. So what she does is that she speaks the English and the teacher moves from his class to this teacher's class, and then the teacher will translate it into the Ahanta for the children to learn. These are the challenges on the ground. So as a minister, as the one who is in charge of policy, you have to tell us how you are dealing with these challenges, or what you are doing, or what you have done within the past 10 months to enable us to move from the 70-30% that we are using to a complete 100% without having the challenges that we are having. And that is why we think that the direction given by the minister, although well-intended, cannot be implemented and should not, and that he should first and foremost focus on trying to deal with the challenges that we have, all strengthening the 70-30 that we are already implemented according to our strategic plan and that of the curriculum framework.
Well, Doc, that's very insightful. Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate your input this morning. That's a very interesting nuance to it. And let me come to you, Mr. Ameyaw, now. You've heard from Doc, and the challenges are there. The challenges are there, and he raised a very profound point about we haven't resolved the challenges, but we want to make this.
It has always been there, and we haven't been able to resolve it. That is why I think that the cabinet secretary issued a statement that ministers should slow their roll as far as, talking about policies.
You think that statement was because of this?
Definitely, because it's clear that the instructions given to GES on this particular matter cannot be achieved in the even short term or medium term. This is a long term, policy that government must take its time to implement, because they are, like Doug said, teething issues that has to be dealt with, and that has not been done. If I should ask Doug right now to tell me what they have done as a government as far as implementation of this policy is concerned, I think he'll be found wanting. So let's take our time. At the end of the day, of course, research has shown that when we are taught in our mother tongue, it helps. Me, it didn't help me, but I will support the research as long as it's scientific. It didn't help, it never helped me.
Which language do you speak?
Oh, I speak. I don't want to go there.
He shared the story.
I shared my story.
Oh, yeah, he get that.
So I don't want to go there. Because, do you know what? What we used to do was that even when it comes to exam time, the teacher will read a thing in Twi, and then she'll read it out to us. Because you understand the Twi, it will be easy for you to answer.
Yeah.
But when you get out of the classroom, you cannot read. You cannot even understand and appreciate. When somebody is speaking English, it's like a foreign language to me. And that experience that I went through, trust me, if I become the president, this policy, I won't support it. One day, if I should become a president, which, of course, I won't be. So,
why would you write that?
That's what about go gravy.
So for me, let's take our time. Let's really take our time, and then for the minister to issue
but the very fact that these challenges
has to come in and explain. Come on, let's.
No, but just for the mere fact that because we have these challenges, so we should not implement it. Don't you think? So when will we ever implement it then?
I'm saying
because it looks like these challenges will not be resolved.
The commitment and the will is there. Let's focus on the challenges, address the challenges, and then fix it once and for all.
We can do it side by side.
We have been doing
while we are implementing it, we are resolving the challenges and going.
We have been doing the 70-30 for decades. Are we achieving it? The answer is no.
Doc, let me come to you now. The question is, if it is not broken, why fix it? What problem are you trying to solve with this?
Okay, so I think
because like we had Doug, the 70-30 is working, and the dynamics, the challenges exist. So let's stick to it. Why?
Well, so we need to be very conscious on how we progress with the discussions. And I say so because we need not discuss this as if it were a new policy.
Yes,
it's not.
Yes,
it's an existing policy. What the minister is only seeking to do is a reaffirmation of that policy and the need for people to avert their minds to implementing that policy as it has been adopted by us as a nation. Again, because it's an existing policy, it cannot be the case that it's one of the reasons why the secretary to the cabinet is saying that people should table policies, get approval. It cannot be, because this is not a policy that would have been going to cabinet anyway, because it's already there. This government is not bringing it, it's only reaffirming it. Now, look, I am a teacher, a trained teacher at that, and so I've been in the classroom for a number of years. Let me tell you this. When you are posted to a school and you get there and you teach in class 1 and you want to begin in English language, it's impossible to do that. Just impossible. You may say that perhaps in some urban or metropolitan communities like Accra, when you get into the classroom and you speak, children may understand some form of language. Where I come from, Damango, where I taught Tamale, go to the schools, go to Bamvum Primary School and say that you want to deliver teaching and learning in a local language to pupils in P1, P2, P3. You are getting, in fact, you will throw them in confusion, absolute confusion. They would not understand exactly what you are doing. So even without an insistence on that policy, you have no choice. You have no choice but to teach in the local language. You have no choice but to teach.
Yeah, but then you also appreciate
when you come,
like what Doc said.
Yes.
like what Doc said.
Yes.
And maybe those are some of the areas we need to fix.
Yes.
So in Damango, for
Yes,
instance, and it happens that a teacher is posted
Yes.
there where he
Yes.
cannot speak the language, then you have a fundamental
So some of the problems are administrative than a matter of resources. Now, when I say so, this is what I mean. When you post teachers to a school, they are often a mix of people from different ethnic groups and coming from different parts of the country.
Yeah.
You don't go and put an Ashanti in a lower primary class in Damango, for instance. Clearly, he will not understand.
It won't even work.
Yeah, clearly he will not understand that.
But
So what do you do?
Yeah, but that is happening.
No. So what do you do? So that's why, if that's what is happening, and if that's what is contributing to the challenges,
Yeah.
it's simply getting the university, the
district
basic school.
the district education managers
Director.
and then the head teachers to do the right thing. Basically, just reassigning teachers. Assign all teachers who cannot speak the local languages to higher primary and beyond. And all teachers who can speak the local language to lower primary, primary 1, primary 2, primary 3. Even now, we have kindergarten and the rest.
Yeah.
Those days used not, but we now have that. So for me, and again, the transition is easier because you see, while the children are being taught in the local language, they are also being taught English as a language. So they get the opportunity to learn the language that would be used to teach them at the upper primary when they get there. So you afford them the opportunity to learn that language. Then along the line, they are strengthening their learning outcomes because they understand exactly the content you are teaching them because it is in their own language.
But in the same vein, they are also learning
So when you do
local language. They are also learning, for instance, if it's a Santichi, they are also learning a Santichi in primary 1, primary 2. They are learning bits of it.
Exactly. So you see, because they are already speaking it, when you teach them that one, like my brother used that example, 1 + 1 is this in that local language. They can easily relate to it, you see. But then you know that English ought to be a necessity at certain stages. So you get them to build the foundation. You don't get to confuse them with a language that they have never spoken. Then when they get to the point where they have to transition, they've already also learned that language to a minimum extent that allows them to smoothly transition to learning English language. In that sense, then it enables them, to pick up very fast and to learn with a lot more confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that a child who cannot speak, for children who cannot speak at those levels, and you go and speak to them, and maybe 1 or 2 people are able to speak. Somehow it just destabilizes them completely. We have all seen social media videos of children who cannot speak English, and the way that they've been trolled and all of that. For me, this is a policy that is not intended to limit the children. For me, it's a policy that will leverage the children into learning with confidence and getting to understand better the content that we want them to understand. And for me, that's a policy we should all.
Mr. Sapon, Doc raises a very profound point that in the 8 to 10 months that the government hasn't been in power, he hasn't seen work or initiative to address the challenges that have inhibited the implementation of this policy.
I asked me, didn't you ask?
Oh, you didn't ask me. You made a statement.
I have inhibited this. So this directive, this blanket directive by the minister that, this should be the policy when all the challenges that have been associated with this in the past have not been addressed. He says we are going to have a problem.
In fact, when I was speaking, because there was this little interjection I had wanted to ask whether or not there was a policy to that effect, and that question was answered by the gentleman you spoke to. And so, from the way he spoke, it means that he has so much in-depth information about what is going on. And
he's on Facebook.
Yes, he is supposed to actually answer that question. He's supposed to be able to tell us that as in the last 8 to 10 months.
Yeah, he mentioned that we have, based on his own, study, there has been nothing has been done to resolve those existing challenges.
not the challenges. You understand? You see, if there are no implementations of a project, okay, it will be difficult to even
identify the challenges. But he makes reference to the
So
past.
somebody makes a research, brings it out, we adapt it, we make a policy out of it. On the surface of the matter, reading every research, every policy, there are challenges. Then you can never implement any policy. You need to start the implementation. Then you have to. Then it would help you understand whether the challenges are indeed challenges. I mean, he's giving us a solution to one of the challenges. If you come to the school I attended Bethel Methodist, Ward K, Tamale. Now, the woman who taught me at the primary level, Auntie Maggie, she was not a Dagomba woman. But Auntie Maggie speaks Dagbani very well. And she speaks Twi very, I think she was a Fanti also. Now, there are some of the kids that she would speak Dagbani to. There were some of the colleagues that she would speak Twi to. And there are those that normally anymore, their parents were not speaking. Those they used to stay at Full Snet area, Russia Bangladesh. So those ones, she speaks English with them. And so that was a solution he gave. At that level, you need to get an instructor who understands their language and can interpret whatever it is to those children. Now, we cannot keep that policy on the shelves and would want to solve the challenges before we implement them. You implement and solve them as you go. All of us, the four of us, including you, making five, have not debated the positives of the use of the local language.
We have.
You understand? We have not debated. Kofi is an Ashanti. He has
Cool.
your cool. Okay. We the Ashantis, we have a fundamental issue. Our L and our R. A fundamental. Obi. For those of us who were born and bred in the North, we have managed to deal with it. You understand? And so, if I am speaking English and Kofi is speaking English, the tendency of Kofi mixing R and L in 5 minutes or 10 minutes is greater. Opa me bo pieces ya ni enko.
They are rough.
On the wall. You understand me? But I was able to deal with it because of where I grew up. Kofi would have had challenges with certain words. It's just like a Ghana. They also have their challenges.
Yeah.
And any Dagoma man who grew up in Greater Accra and schooled in Greater Accra also develops that challenge. Does that mean that we will implement and you deal with the challenge alongside?
So in a classical situation like
We
the
cannot
event-
have all teaching instruments in the local languages. You have a sister station that does, what's the name? Twi. Am I right?
Yeah.
They read the news in Twi.
Yeah.
Do your editors type the news in Twi?
Interestingly, the news is written in English and the presenters interpret it while on air.
So what are the challenges?
But these are seasoned people. These are people who've learned.
How did they start?
They obviously learned it.
Let's start from somewhere. And you see, we are saying that we only want to give the children a better understanding of the elements they are going to use for the competition. So that when they have gotten to the stage where they have to use those elements, they have a better grip of it.
So
We have our former president. You were always admiring him for the use of the
French.
the English language and the French when he's doing his presentations and reading his speeches. It's fair, and what's the name? The late Jikotanko Bichivilamte. Their first languages was not Twi and Gao. If you read their history very well, these are people whose first language was English. I know I'm afraid of L1 or. And so compare him to somebody whose L1 is also Twi. They are going to deliver, their delivery is going to be different. But he speaks it in the head. I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks that way. We always, even when you are reading, when you're reading in class or you are doing your own studies, there are some paragraphs and some you read and read and read, and if you want to understand, you interpret it in your language. And so we are not saying that, nobody is saying that we should use the local language throughout. But we are saying that at the foundation of it, so that the children would have a better grasp of whatever is being taught. As they grow, as they go up the ladder, then they can use the English language better. The challenge we face in some of these areas, the Akumasi, the Ashanti regions, the Eastern regions, is that even at the senior level, that is where the problem. I did voluntary service at the Women Vocational Institute in Sunyani. Those times, at that level, the children wants you to use the local language, which I told them, I said, no, only primary school. But even with that, you would teach, and then you would have to come and make them understand in their language. So there are, it's a ladder.
Yeah. Doc, you want to make an intervention?
Yes, so this is what we need to realize. What are the challenges when we speak to them? Look, the challenges have been about teacher preparedness, whether teachers who would be deployed to the grounds actually are trained in the local languages or understand the local languages and are able to implement that. Such a challenge. Look, mostly in the rural and less developed parts of this country, where the likelihood of getting teachers to teach in that language, because normally there will be uniformity in the kind of language that children understand in this area.
Yeah, especially in those
it should be possible administratively to post teachers who understand those languages into those communities. So largely for the vast majority, and you do know that many parts of Ghana are rural inclined, if you like. So in most part of those places, administratively, we should be able to support.
I think based on what is currently happening, rural areas, they use the local language.
They use the local language, and they are doing well. I think the problem we have today is in the urban, it's with urban diversity and the multiplicity of children. But
and even in the private schools also, because in the private schools,
even the local languages are taught. You understand that? So even as you are instructing children in the local language, you teach them Ga, for instance, if they are not Gans, alongside, so that they understand Ga. And then when you are instructing them in Ga or delivering lessons in Ga, they can understand. The second challenge has to do with teaching and learning materials. Look, one of the most critical things every teacher is taught when you go through the training process is being able to innovate. Is being able to innovate. For me, it's about getting teachers to sit down and develop their own TLMs and getting to implement those things in the local languages. Look, we cannot have pre-prepared from the national level. That's almost impossible because our languages are diverse, the topics are diverse, you know, so you cannot. And you see, that will even limit creativity. So it's not about, you know, government deploying TLMs. It should not actually be encouraged. What should be encouraged perhaps is for some amount of resources, just like the capitation grounds, be made available to the head teachers, and those should be administered such that they are strictly released for the development of those TLMs. And that should be easily done. The other challenge has to do with the fact that parents, and these are the challenges that the research outlines when the parents eagerness to see their children speak English soon as they put them in. It will just take education. Take education of the Ghanaian public and to let them understand that, look, we are doing this for the good of the children.
Yeah,
at the right time, they would learn and speak English and speak it effectively.
I want us to talk a bit about the cybersecurity bill. We've got our man on Zoom, Mr. Kweku Ofori-Boateng. He's a software engineer. He studied the bill extensively. Want him to offer some education on that for us. But you want to make a point
I want to make a. You see, the policy is not universal.
Yeah.
Because the private schools are not teaching in the local languages.
Yeah.
You see, where I come from, and I always use myself as an example, you kind of create a disparity in terms of the kids in their society, especially in the urban areas, where you have kids being taught in the local language and are unable to really express themselves in English. And they come in contact with children who go to the private schools. Let's say, for example, they go to Sunday school or they meet at a gathering, a social gathering. The manner in which these kids are able to express themselves in English, it threatens these kids who are being taught in
Intimidated.
Yeah.
Look, even when I was growing up,
a valid point.
and I was living around here in Bubuashi, I went to a school called Eaton Complex. Then there's St. Teresa's. It's a private, beautiful school, Roman Catholic school. Anytime we close from school and we are walking home, and you hear them speak English, you won't even come close to them. Ask anybody who has lived around this very neighborhood, and somebody who went to St. Teresa's, ask against somebody who went to Prince of Peace.
It's
that feeling. You don't want your kids to go through that.
I think it's all
It's something we need to look at.
The education bit. The education bit. It's an interesting point you make. It's an interesting point you make.
I think that the confidence of a child does not lie in
ability to speak English.
Boss,
I have never been.
But the reality is
Listen,
that.
my wife laughs at me every day because she says I have issues with pronunciations. You understand? Even this morning, she did it to me. I said, Masa, I interpret better than you.
Interesting.
You should also have a strength.
Let me talk to Mr. Kweku Ofori-Boateng. He's a software engineer. Because the Cybersecurity Amendment Bill is one
British
that
people.
the Communication Ministry is considering now, is engaging stakeholders. You understand that they even extended the stakeholder engagement period, and some element of it has generated a lot of debate across many platforms. Mr. Kweku, thank you very much for joining us. Help us appreciate what this bill is all about, and also, educate us on some of the concerns that you have and some people have also raised.
Okay, so good morning to everyone. My name is Kweku. I'm a software engineer. So right now, the Ministry of Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation is working on 15 major ICT bills, laws, right? It's not just the Cybersecurity Amendment bill. There are 15 in number. And then 7 of them are new laws that he wants to introduce. And then 8 of them he wants to amend. So he wants to make some changes to those 8 ones. But then the one that people are talking about more is the Cybersecurity Amendment Bill.
Yeah.
And then I would like to touch on that, even though that is just a small part of the chain. So they have a whole framework, and this is just one part of it. So this is not a new bill.
Yeah.
The Cybersecurity Act 2020 already exists, but then this is an amendment. They want to change. They want to make some changes. So the old bill was established to raise awareness, support law enforcement, license cybersecurity companies, and also ensure that the systems are safe. And then, hackers won't be able to exploit the systems. So in short, when you look at the 2020 cybersecurity bill, the authority was like a referee who's like in the middleman, who's making sure that people are guided, people are trained and coordinated and all that. But then when you look at the Cybersecurity Amendments Bill 2025, they want to introduce some new things. They want to introduce far more power, which I call policing power. So with this amendment, they will be able to arrest, prosecute, seize your devices, freeze your accounts, and even keep 50% of all the fines they impose. Right. So let me bring that to life.
Yeah.
So imagine you run an online shop, and then one day the CSA says that they suspect you of cybercrime. Even without proving anything, they can just come and then seize your things. But then with the old bill, they would have to go through the court to get a warrant first. But then when you compare it to this amendment, they'll have the power to do all these things. In the 2020 Act, that's the old one, they have a phrase in there called reasonable grounds, right? And those reasonable grounds meant that they have to show evidence to a judge that you have done something wrong. But then with this one, they've made some changes, and now all they need is suspicion. So if someone in the authority feels like you are doing something wrong and they just suspect you, they can come for you. And that's concerning. So that's why we are creating awareness so that people will know exactly what the bill is about.
Interesting. Of course, I've got the bill, the amendments, the draft amendment here, and I also see some of the points you raised about what some of the powers they are conferring to the authority and what they are looking to do, among which include the power to investigate, prosecute cybercrime on the authority of the Attorney General and recover proceeds of cybercrime, to revise and a few other things. And I get the sense, of where, a lot of your group alike are concerned, particularly on the subject of suspicion and acting on the suspicion to seize your devices. Of course, that is a very concerning one. But if you look at the rationale behind it, which is intended to keep the country's cyberspace safe and ensure that, especially things relative to what people say online, some of the defamatory things people say online, some of the, because we've seen instances of people blackmailing people, fraud to extent has become pervasive. It does appear that the rationale behind this very amendment is to deal with all of these things that look like they're getting out of hand. Don't you think maybe, despite these concerns you might have, the rationale behind it is enough to support it?
Yes. So, like I said, I've had other interviews, and then I don't think the bill is entirely bad. There are certain things in there that are good, like the bill will protect people with disabilities, children, women, cyberbullying and all that. It's good, but I'm comparing it to the old bill and the amendments that they are making. So, like the example that I gave, let's say one day the CSA suspects that I am a business owner and they suspect that I am using my customers' data wrongly. Even though they haven't proven that, they can, before they even go to a court, they can come and freeze my bank account, freeze my Momo account. How will I feed my family? How will I pay my workers and all that? All in the name of suspicion. I'm just saying that this kind of power in the wrong hands, if it is abused, people can, exploit it and then, use it.
So just to follow up on that,
harm people. So,
just to follow up on that, what would you rather want this ideal situation to be?
Well, I would suggest that we maintain, the role of the cybersecurity. I mean, before the minister agreed that this authority is not supposed to be a police. Right. So there are videos where, when he agrees to that we are not, the authority is not supposed to be the one to go and prosecute people. So I think we should just maintain how the old law works, where they would, assist other agencies rather than being the police, the judge's assistant, the prosecutor, all under one umbrella. So that's just too much power, right? And also, when you read the bill, there are certain clauses that are not really defined. Something like false information, right? You see, it is not defined. The bill expands what counts as cybercrime as offensive communication and harmful consent. Like, what is an offense? Is it a meme? Is it a joke? Is it a comment that I'll make about a politician online that someone doesn't agree with? What is it? They need to define that, else it gives room for them to call anything offensive information. If you're a journalist and you publish something, they can just come out and say that, well, lies under offensive communication or offensive, they need to define certain things. There are a lot of vague terms in the bill that needs real definition. So I don't think the bill is entirely bad. It's going to sanitize the digital ecosystem, but then there are certain things that we need to address too, because power in the wrong hands, it can be very dangerous.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Just finally, though, we know the ministry has indicated that they're going to continue engaging the public on it. Have you heard that? And have you taken advantage of that to also raise some of these concerns you have with them?
Yes, I have. So, the dates of, for public engagement was extended after we started making noise online. Prior to that, when I went outside to have conversations with random people, they didn't even know about the bill. A lot of people didn't have any idea about a bill that is going to affect everybody who has a mobile phone, anybody that has a laptop, anything digital. If you have it, it's going to affect you. And, so yes, we know that, but then we also don't want them to just focus on the formal submissions. They should take some of our comments online also into consideration, because it's a digital platform and these are real concerns, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not allowed to express myself, if free speech is controlled, it will be a big problem for not just me in the tech space, but then for journalists, comedians, even the normal citizen.
Yeah.
So yes, we know that there is a formal way of submitting our views and all that, but then they should also take some of these comments into consideration. So I urge the minister to, take a look at some of these things. Also, one of the problems that I have with the bill is that the way it is being funded, right? So let's say I am accused of false, maybe posting false information or false content or whatever it is. They can find me like up to like 300,000 cedis. And for every fine, they get 50% of it. Think about that. For every fine. So let's say they fine someone for doing something wrong, and they will take 50% of that. That's a clear conflict of interest.
So you think the fine should be used as a means to make money?
I mean, it looks like the fine. So let's say I am a CSA officer.
Yeah.
What stops me from fining more people? Because the more people I fine, the more money I make. Because 50% of that will come to the authority. So even that is, there's a problem there that we need to address. The way everything is,
interesting. Very interesting.
Together,
very interesting. And just on the subject of funding, I'm just looking at the amendment they are seeking to do on that one.
Section 31.
Yes, the sources of monies for the fund include seed money approved by Parliament, monies which may become lawful payable to the authority for the fund, 50% of all fines arising from criminal penalties under the Act, grants, gift, donations, and other voluntary contributions, 12% of communication service tax, 9% corporate tax for the fund, a charge determined by the authority in accordance with the fees and charges, and levies on persons licensed by the Bank of Ghana to carry on business, and a proportion of the fees charged on all government electronic services and any other money approved by Parliament for the fund. Interesting, really interesting. Well, Kofi, you want to stay there? Let me just get the thoughts of my guest here, what they have made of this, because this is a conversation that is yet, the bill is yet to get to Parliament. I'm sure even when they get to Parliament, the conversation will become even more topical. The former Minister of Information, Honorable Kojo Nkrumah, has come out. He's criticized the bill. So you can imagine what to expect in Parliament. Mr. Ameyaw, let me just get your thoughts on this. We are wrapping up with this conversation. You have also been following it, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. In fact, when I was the head of information for Ghana's permanent mission to the United Nations, I was Ghana's representative for the group of Friends for the Protection of Journalists. In fact, yesterday they even issued a statement. So we are much concerned about misinformation, disinformation, the use of hate speech and all of that. But you see, just like my younger brother alluded to, the bill in itself is not bad in its entirety. But there are portions of it that takes care of the fact that even if somebody is, tracking you, using social media to attack you, vilify you, it protects you. So in itself, it's not bad. But when you read Section 4A of the draft or the bill, the part where it gives prosecutorial powers to this authority. So number one, my point is that, okay, when you look at our political ecosystem, we have created institutions and chipped away some of the Attorney General's prosecutorial authorities or powers to some of these institutions or agencies. YOCO, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, even National Security, of course, the police and all of that. And many a times you realize that some of these agencies use these powers given to them for their political whims and caprices. Okay. A very typical example, especially when it comes to this bill and the way in which it's being amended and structured. As far as, when you share content and then somebody thinks with authority that it's false or misleading, they can just come for you in your room at dawn and all of that. A typical example is the case between the IGP and, say, Obama, where the IGP felt like, okay, this guy has been tormenting me on social media. So he posted something, and then let me just go for him and show him where power lies. That is the danger my friend is talking about here. And that's very dangerous. Number two, it's amazing that it is taking this particular government to promulgate this particular law. A government that has benefited from this kind of thing, okay? The NPP administration allowed the system for everybody to express their views, their opinions, and their thoughts. Even then, when there were no laws to guard individuals, President Mahama, then candidate Mahama, in 2021, then he wasn't a candidate, I'm sure, said that we were living in a culture of hypocrisy and silence. That was June 4th, 2021, where he expressed the view that in our current dispensation, that was then, there was a culture of silence, and that people were not able to express their thoughts and their opinions. Now the same person becomes a president and drafts a bill to go to Parliament to make it a law to arrest people who will express their opinions and their views. And then if it's considered to be misleading, according to somebody. And that for me is extremely dangerous. It's something we shouldn't support. Everybody must come on board, because you know why? The NDC will not be in government forever. Thanks be to God, President Mahama will be in power for the next 3 years and he will be gone. The NDC will be in power for the next 3 years and they will be gone. And somebody somewhere will be made the CEO of this Cybersecurity Authority, and they will choose to use these laws whimsically and capriciously and be going after people that he thinks that they've offended, has personal issues with. So let's be careful how we are going after some of these laws that we are promulgating. Look, we have a situation...
Just learn for me, we understand.
I will learn for you. So for me, it is amazing that it is taking President Mahama to do this. In fact, this law is his baby. This bill that he wants to make a law is his baby, because when he met with the press, he indicated, he pointed out, now he will be going after people using the IP addresses. So this is clear what he wants to do. He wants to gag the people.
They say they are sanitizing the system.
No.
People are taking advantage of the space.
The Cybersecurity Authority must be a watchdog, not a police. They must supervise and watch over the cybersecurity ecosystem. But they must never be given the power as a police to be coming after you. And again, I am saying that we should move away from this. It is dangerous, it is not proper, and when this law gets into the wrong hands, people will suffer for it.
And Doc, let me bring you in, because one interesting amendment I'm looking at is the attempt to define what cyberbullying is. And it goes on to say that includes any digital communication and any other activity which strips the recipient of the dignity of the recipient, or causes fear, physical or emotional harm, such as repeatedly sending offensive, rude, and insulting messages to a person. Insulting messages to a person.
Yeah.
So essentially saying that the Cybersecurity Authority will have the power to prosecute someone if they send any message that you feel insulting. You know, that you understand the difficulty with that, isn't it?
Repeatedly. And this may, if you ask me, if you perhaps look at other portions of, and you know, when you read these things, you need to read them in the whole. Perhaps if you look at it, it might be from if it is, if it is not, warranted, and if it's unwarranted, no cause, no justifiable cause to such things. And you see, for me, we should look more at the bigger picture of what this amendment bill is coming to do for us. Look, I don't know if any one of my colleagues have had an instance where their Facebook account or their WhatsApp had been hijacked before. My Facebook account was hijacked at the pretense of just a link that was sent to me and indicating that, in fact, at the point I would say I was perhaps naive. So a link was basically sent to me with specifics of a group that I was aware of, with a list of the details of the administration, or with clear instructions, because the group was being strengthened and all of that. Clicked on that, and just by that, my Facebook account was taken over. Within 1 hour, multiple messages were being sent around maliciously to extort money from people. And yet, I had it very difficult, very, very difficult to retrieve the account. Eventually, I had to just abandon it, completely abandon it, and I was posting everywhere, almost on every platform, saying that this account had been hijacked and people sought to help. If a bill like this is coming into force, it will protect and stop instances of that nature. Look,
I think instances like that is understandable.
The part we are all concerned about is whether or not this will come to inhibit freedom of expression.
Yeah.
Look, the bill is also coming with what? Updating the offenses and clearly defining them.
Yeah.
Clearly defining them.
Yeah.
And the definition of those will not be in the bosom of the minister. They are in the bosom of the general public, and there are processes to which all of us we can contribute to ensuring that we define them clearly and unambiguously, so that we prevent the arbitrariness that we anticipate this could be.
Because it would be interesting to learn what someone would describe as insulting. He said, what will I have to say for you to feel insulted?
We know what an insult is. We know what an insult is.
But now,
in ordinary life, we know what an insult is. Even contextually within our traditions or culturally, we understand what an insult is clearly. You get the point. We do. We have a sense of what.
This is too general. I'm saying.
Oh, really?
If it gets
you don't know what an insult is.
Oh, and I'm saying that respectfully, something you.
So for me, we should all contribute
And make it a better bill.
Yes, let's all contribute to make
Mr.
it a
Sapon,
better bill. But this bill is important for the protection of the citizenry.
Yeah,
and mind you, let me just say
I
this.
particularly like what it's even done to try and protect young people. And it's
the question about using 5% of that, 50% of fines about the authority, this is not new. Many government agencies are funded on the basis of some of the fines.
Internally generated funds.
And they are internal, it's normal.
All right.
Look, suspicion, he says on the basis of suspicion. I mean, the police arrest you on the basis of suspicion. What about that? The police, just when they suspect that you are about to commit a crime, even about, not when you are committing, even about to commit a crime.
Why don't you leave the police to do that job? Continue to
No, but this is a specialized area. And there's an authority
but there's a unit on cybersecurity
for it.
There's
an authority for it.
There's a unit in the
Even you as a citizen,
final say on this.
even you as a citizen, much more an authority. Even
I hope it won't be 30 seconds.
even you as a citizen can effect an arrest. Much more an authority.
Leave my good friend.
No, I want him to be on because I have basic questions.
Okay, you have some basic questions for him. Okay, please, let's do that.
Let's have a conversation.
Yeah, let's do that then.
Now, are we not always excited when we hear in other jurisdictions that TikTok and other social media are being regulated? Are we not? We use China as example every day in our speeches.
Yeah.
I want to ask him, are you guys happy when you hear young people go on social media to insult in clear language somebody like the Archbishop Duncan Williams? He's a young man. I'm asking very basic fundamental questions. The gentleman, when I was coming, who was doing the interpretations of the bill here, was using the days of Kweku Bakun and then Kwesi Pratt. Did you ever hear Kwesi Pratt or Kweku Bakun use insult in his language and his delivery? We are young people. Let's stop being hypocrites. We wake up in the morning and you go to social media and we do not make proposals of policies, but all we hear are insults, negative, naked words, morning to evening. We have young girls advertising products and they are naked. And we use other jurisdictions as example. Look at the rate. He's a software engineer. The rate of I'm not pegging you. I mean, I'm using him because a lot of them, I've read about a lot of these software engineers. They are only protecting their money. That's all.
No, that's not fair.
No, it's just like lawyers. When lawyers are talking about human rights, it's their money they are protecting.
This is not fair.
I want to take some messages.
Sorry.
So please land for me so that I can take some messages.
But that is the job. Yeah. It's like a banker who is talking about organized crime. It's his money, salary. You understand me? But let's deal with the fundamentals of the issue. Look at the love crimes that we have. I called MTN their emergency line one time, and I asked a question. I said that you give my number to companies without my consent. You wake up in the morning, you have about 10, 7, 8 messages on your phone. Somebody calls and has hijacked my WhatsApp. You call MTN, they told you they do not have control over it.
Yeah.
Go and seek help elsewhere.
Yeah.
And now we have an authority that is going to give us that policing we want. And you are telling us that, have you ever been invited by NIB?
No, I've not been there.
He doesn't wish to be invited.
When you use your platform to do other things, won't NIB invite you? You have what's it? Standard operating procedures you use here.
Yeah.
There are some people your producers will never invite onto this platform. Why? Because of the language they use.
Interesting.
So let us have a very straight up discourse on this matter.
Yeah.
The fear most people are here. Or the issue of suspicion and other things. You go and post people holding guns, firing and other things on your social media, and they call to ask you where you got it, and you have
the way and the manner in which it was.
Hold on.
the way
Journalists,
which was-
do we not have
you
the
call somebody
free?
to
Do we not have the
respond to
free
an
to
issue
information
you see?
bill?
No, wait.
So if you are able to
but
go
it's also
to
a question of the manner in which they are
Charlie,
arrested.
you spoke.
That
I
is the
didn't
point we
talk.
are making.
I
It
didn't.
is not
When you were
about the
talking,
law.
I didn't
No,
talk.
it's not. We have all agreed.
Briefly, let me just see a quick 1 minute, so I can take some messages and we'll wrap up. I'm a producer.
This is bullying.
1 minute. Go ahead.
This is cyberbullying. You are bullying me.
Bullying, not cyberbullying.
Yeah, quick, go ahead. 1 minute. Just wrap up for me.
Okay, so I want to address some of the things that he said. So the old bill, right? When you read what cyber crime is, it meant things like hacking, fraud, child exploitation, and data theft, right? So it already serves the purpose that he's complaining
No,
about.
it's not.
Now they've added something called harmful content and offensive communication and false publication without defining it. So what that means is that even you as a journalist, they can come for you. It depends on how they define what false publication is, what offensive communication is, what harmful
It's already defined in our constitution.
content is. Right. So according to the bill, the way they've worded things, right? They've worded things in a way that they will decide when to apply certain laws.
Well, we are going to develop this conversation. I'm sure it's not going to end now. We're going to spend some more time on it and appreciate it. We're going to engage the ministry on it and get some better education on it. So, Kwaku, thank you very much for making time to be with
but I
us.
want to say one last thing.
Just say it.
Yes. So if you can hear my voice, don't take my word for it. Go online, search for the Cybersecurity Amendment Bill 2025, download it, read it for yourself. In fact, before you even do that, download the Cybersecurity Bill, the 2021, read that one too, and then make a comparison. And you see that they are introducing things that will cause a lot of harm. Thank you so much for having
thank you very much, Kwaku. Thank you very much. All right, guys, let's see whether we can just pick a few messages, maybe about 3 of them, then we call it a day. We need to make way for the next discussion now. Of course, we're going to return to this subject, and as I mentioned, we'll try and get the ministry and get some, more education on it, and also some clarification, because the engagement are still going on. It's going to go to Parliament. We're going to get some more education on it so that we can better appreciate exactly what they are trying to do with this bill. All right. So we'll get we'll try and get the messages through here. And get it. Anyway, we seem to be having a challenge with the messages, so we'll just call it a day now and continue the show very shortly. Of course, this bill is it has not even gotten to Parliament yet, and the way it's been, we'll get to it. Well, we need to make way now.
When you read the bill,
leave now.
It's a good bill.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not a bad bill, but there are certain portions in the bill that
needs to be
threatens free speech.
Well,
but there's an opportunity to remind you. Thank you. So someone doesn't agree. Because we are saying that it's good.
It's good.
And
some people will not believe.
The Cybersecurity Authority CEO.
All right, I understand we do have some very quick one. Let me just read a quick one. Good morning. Okay, when this was Kelvin Taylor was insulting everybody, chief judges, MPs, even threatening to kill a major chief in Ghana. What did he say about it? Okay, this one says the doctor showed, it's today, right? From today, the doctor should stop what he's saying. It's not going to work. Students should concentrate on their books, not her. Okay, I'm not too sure. This has to, it said, please, Mr. Sopon, don't be if someone insults or see him in court, and if someone insults you, see him in court, he says, and not allow the authority to take them up. Interesting. This one says, tell Nana Yaw to also ask Hobson Adore in their party to stop insulting women. He said it's a hypocrisy with the issue of the hair. Okay, we're not talking about the hair today, so let's see if you have something for us on what we're talking about. Akonsi says Sam George and his colleagues spoke in opposition. If it was good, then it should be good now. Interesting. I'm watching live. He says anyone who think if he or she become president will not support this policy. May God send them far away from becoming president this country, because we don't want to be serving a president who also be serving another master. Okay, I'm sure it has to do with the language. You mean speaking English and teaching our kids in English is serving another master? Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Anyway, thank you very much for being part of the show. And thank you, Mr. Sapon. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Mr. Ameyaw, also for coming through. We'll be back same time tomorrow.